What's going on YouTube? Yes, I'm back again with the functional programming challenges. Hope you guys are really looking forward to it because I'm really excited to be here and learn some useful things as well by just teaching you. All right. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is about introduction to the functional programming challenges. Alright, so functional programming is an approach to software development based around the evaluation of functions. Okay, so based on evaluation of the functions, like mathematics, functions in programming map input to output to produce a result. You can combine many functions in many ways to build more and more complex programs. Functional programming follows few core principles. Functions are independent from the state of the program or global variables. They only depend on the arguments passed into them to make a calculation. Functions try to limit any changes to the state of the program and avoid changes to the global objects holding data. Functions have minimal side effects in the program. The functional programming software development uh, sorry, approach breaks a program into small testable parts. This section covers basic functional programming principles in JavaScript. So now we're gonna learn about some functional programming in based function programming principles. I mean the core and the basic principles based on JavaScript. All right. Uh, let's start with our first lesson. Yes, excitement. Excitement. Everything is full of excitement, isn't it? All right. Cool. So this is functional programming. Learn about functional programming. Okay. Cool. Functional programming is a style of programming where solutions are simple, isolated functions without any side effects outside of the function scope. Right. Input goes to process and produces an output. So I think it's similar to a calculator where the calculator gets an input from us and then it processes it and gives the output. So say it gets two numbers, 2 and 2, the calculator will process it based on the operation provided by the user. So in this case, say plus, so it will process 2 plus 2 and then it will produce the output which is 4. So functional programming is about isolated functions. There is no dependence on the state of program, which includes global variables that are subject to change. Alright, so it doesn't have any dependencies on the state of the program and the global variables. Pure functions. The same input always gives the same output, right? Which is obvious. Functions with limited side effects. Okay. Any changes or mutations to the state of the program outside the function are carefully controlled. Right. So it says any changes or mutations to the state of the program outside the functions has to be carefully controlled. Right. the members of Free Code Camp happen to love tea, right? Yep, I love it too. It's just amazing. It just, if you want, you can do so much to it. You can add sugar, you can add tea bag, and you can add hot water and then milk. And the best part, keeps you awake by pro- by providing you the tea. I mean the taste as well. Anyway, I'm going off topic. Yep, I can tell myself. All right, back to the challenge. In the code editor, the prepare t and get t functions are already defined for you, right? So there's prepare t and there's get t. All right. Yep. Here. Call the call the get t function to get 40 cups of tea for the team and store them in the t for team FCC variable. So it's saying that we need to call the get tea function to get 40 cups of tea and store the tea in a new variable called t for team FCC. Alright, so what does this say here? A long process to prepare tea, return string, a cup of tea. Alright, cool. Get get given number cups of tea parameter, yep, which is this one. Number of required cups of tea, and it returns an array of strings given amount of tea cups. Alright, so now it asks us to add your code below. Alright, so now we need to store them in this one. We need to store the 40 cups of tea in here. So what we're gonna do is call the method first, which is get tea. So I would say get tea, and then the the method the method takes an argument here, which is number of cups, and how many cups does it want? 40. So we're gonna provide a number 40 here. Cool. So that should do it. Green tea, green tea. Ah, okay, cool. Yep. So says that. So what I've done, I've simply called the get tea function with a 40 cups of tea as a parameter. Alright, let's run the test and see if it passes. Yay, the crowd is going wild. Oh yeah, you're on the top of the world, guys. Keep up the really good work. Alright, submit and go to the next challenge. Understand function programming terminology. Right, so the FCC team has a mood swing and now wants two types of tea, green tea and black tea. General fact, client mood swings are pretty common. Yes, of course. With that um with that information, we'll need to revisit getT function from the last challenge to handle various T requests. We can modify getT to accept a function as a parameter. So getT, yep, accept a function. Yeah, we can modify getT here to accept a function as a parameter to be able to change the type of T it prepares. Yep, prepare T. Right. This makes green tea more flexible. Yep, and and gives the programmer more control where client requests change. Right. So, but first, let's cover some functional terminology. Callbacks are the functions that are slipped or passed into another function to decide the invocation of that function. You may have seen them passed to other methods. For example, in filter, the callback function tells JavaScript the criteria of how to filter an array. Right. So so basically, what it's trying to say is that callback functions are the functions which are called in another function, if that makes sense. All right. Uh, so functions that can be assigned to a variable passed into another function. Right, so first class function. In JavaScript, all functions are first class functions. Alright, what you must be wondering now, hang on. Man, I'm going too fast. Yes, I understand that, and I'm gonna come back and explain the concept of callbacks function first, and then I'll explain you first class functions as well. So essentially, callbacks function, what it's saying there is it's a particular function that is passed into another. Oops, my battery is low. Apologize for that, guys. Yeah, I forgot to put my laptop on charge. Anyway, it's charging now. So back to the topic. The callback functions are functions that are passed into another functions to decide invocation of the function. So in here, I'll just tell you by an example. Prepare T is our callback functions. Why? Because it's passed into get T, which is a function already as well. All right. So you may so in order to get tea, we need to know how to prepare tea and how many number of cups should be there. So this function is a callback function because it's invoked in another function, which is get tea. Get tea that takes in, I mean, a function that's assigned to a constant variable, which is get t, and it takes in two arguments or parameters, say prepare t and num of t's. So in order to get t, we need to first call this function entirely, which will get number of cups here first, and then it would prepare tea for each of that cups. All right, cool. So now you must be now you must be wondering, okay, I understand callback function, but what the heck is first class functions? Right. So the first the uh, first class functions are the particular functions which are passed into an other functions, but however assigned to a variable. For instance, prepare tea is assigned to a teacup. So it's essentially, um, prepare tea is a first class function. Alright, cool. So in JavaScript, all functions are first class functions. the functions that take a function as an argument or return a function as a return value are called high order functions. So basically what high order function is trying to say is that the particular function that takes a function which is prepared t as an argument. So in this whole function is a high order function because it's taking prepared t as an argument or the parameter of its, I mean, yeah, of of its own. All right. Yes. So it's taking prepared t, another function, as its argument, which will return the the kind of t it would have to make from that function. Alright, that's what it says. The return a function as a return value are called higher order function. So this is higher order function, and this is, you can say, a callback function. Alright, when the functions are passed into another functions or returned from another function, then those functions which gets passed in or returned can be called a lambda. So basically what is saying that the, the functions that are passed into another function, so prepare t is been passed in this higher order function as an argument, or uh, they return a value from another function, then those functions are called, I mean, the functions that are passed in to the functions are called the lambda functions. So in this case, because in this case prepared t is being passed into this whole function, so prepared t will be called as a lambda. Alright, so now it says prepare 27 cups of green tea and 13 cups of black tea and store them in T for green team FCC and T for black team FTC variables, respectively. Note that the getT function has been modified so that it so it takes so it now takes a function as the first argument. Note that the data, the number of cups of tea is supplied as an last argument. Alright, we'll discuss this more in later lessons. Right, so all we need to do now is use this this method, which is a getT, to get 27 cups of green tea and 13 cups of black tea. Alright, how do we get that? So use getT functions, and it takes how many arguments? Two arguments, which is prepared tea and num cups of tea. So for prepared tea, we're gonna pass in the prepared green tea, okay, and that will give us the green tea value, and then the prepare black tea constant will give us the black tea value. Alright, so let's do this. So get tea, and what we need to prepare tea. What kind of tea are we preparing first? Green tea, yeah. So copy and paste that constant to green tea, and then How many cups do we need to pass in the last argument? 27 cups for green tea, 27, and similarly, oops, I've got to put green tea as a whole method anyway. Similarly, we're gonna do this for the black tea as well. So get black tea, prepare black, black tea, and how many cups do we need for the black tea? 13 cups. Cool, perfect. So is said and store them in tea for green team FCC and black tea for black team FCC. So that's being stored in tea for green team FCC and tea for black team FCC. Oops, there's an extra comma there. Semicolon. Alright, I really hope you've understood this. The use uh, callback functions and first class and high order. But just a recap. Um, so the callback is a process in which you call another function into, you pass another function into a function. Okay, so prepare t is passed in the get t function. All right, or you can say prepare t is passed in the function which is assigned to a get t constant. All right, and then come down to first class function. So the first class function is a particular function that is passed into another function and assigned to a constant. So in this case, prepare t is a first class function that is passed into a constant t cub, which is used in the get t function. All right, and the high order function is the main function which holds the constant variable and uses the first class function as well. So this is a high order function itself. So high order function, first class function, and the process for the process of calling a first class function into a higher order function is called a callback. All right, I really hope you guys have understood the concept of it, and um, yeah, if you guys have any questions about the concept, feel free to comment, and I'll make sure I'll answer every single of you. And until then, have fun coding. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Have fun coding. Code, code, code. Practice makes perfect. See you later, guys.